Hello everybody, Mike from the Rewatch Project with Hannah and Mike podcast here, and I am back with another edition of Front Row, these music reaction analysis videos, and I am back in the wonderful world of Elvis Presley with a 1957 song, which looks like it's from the Peace in the Valley album, Take My Hand, Precious Lord. I don't know this song, so this will be a first-time listen, pure and honest reaction. Quick reminder to check out the Rewatch Project with Hannah and Mike, the audio podcast that shares this feed, where we go back and rewatch some of our favourite television and movie franchises, in addition to the other film, TV, music, and general pop culture-related goodness that cohabits this channel. Very much appreciate feedback. You can either email me at rewatchprojectpodcast@gmail.com, or alternatively, you can leave comments here on this channel, and I very much do appreciate interacting with you, the music fan, specifically the Elvis Presley fans, who have proven to be very generous in both their reminiscences, their comments, their feedback, and also their suggestions for things to cover, in addition to other wonderful historical nuggets that really have helped this Elvis noob's knowledge of the king of rock and roll broaden and blossom over the last few months whilst I've been doing these videos. Also, a reminder to like and subscribe. Subscriptions make a really big difference in raising the profile of this channel and resulting in more people watching and then feeding back, which really is the primary motivator for doing these with a greater level of regularity. Last but not least, we do accept donations via PayPal. Please only do so, though, if you can, without causing yourself any financial hardship, but it does help with the upkeep of this show. So enough waffle from me. Let's listen to some Elvis Presley and Take My Hand, Precious Lord. Not really sure what to expect from this, so yeah, let's find out together.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I'm worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on tonight. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
Okay, so we are firmly in spiritual gospel territory. You know, we know, along with blues and rhythm and blues and other forms of music, this was a very formative genre for the young Elvis. You know, we know he grew up in an impoverished environment, and, you know, music really came from the streets and the bars and the church. So we've got here a really beautiful organ, you know, which just immediately, not only because of its connotations with church, you know, I grew up Catholic, so, you know, I'm used to the sound of the church organ, but it also, there's something about the organ, isn't there? Because it's the sort of, it's, you know, particularly pipe organs, where there's a feeling of air and natural forces. It just makes you feel like you're floating, you know, you're in the clouds, you're in heaven. You know, it gives you that ethereal sense of spirituality, but also this incredible Elvis's young voice, which I've talked about before, which is this very tremulous, you know, kind of high baritone, you know, high and low. And you can hear that he's got his eyes closed, you know, recording this. It's like when you hear about, you can tell when somebody's smiling, when you hear their voice, you can hear the smile. You can hear the reverie, you know, the meditative nature. You know, it feels like he's down on one knee. He really is connecting with this larger consciousness, whether that be spirituality or God or the audience. You know, that feeling of reverie is there, and the tremulousness of the organ and the tremulousness of his voice really creates this incredible feeling of togetherness and really being in the zone. And we're there with him in this very private moment, because when we pray, we do it collectively, but there's also a very intensely personal one-to-one relationship between the person who's praying and their deity. And you can really feel that here. And, you know, considering that rock and roll was associated with rebellion, it's actually really brave and really or really ironically, really rock and roll to be doing this, and to have the courage. There's a kind of, Elvis was anti-establishment in the sense that the conservative adults often had a problem with him. But at the same time, he was somewhat conservative himself in his own ways, and his spirituality was part of that. But the youth movement at the time might have been confused by that. So it was very brave and he was anti-establishment in both senses of the word. He was rebelling against the perceptions of rock and roll being lawless and immoral, as much as he was rebelling against the authoritarianism of the grown-up world as well. And this is really very much in the middle there. Really just, you can lose yourself, just close your eyes and you're there. And I suppose when we listen to this, we're probably experiencing what Elvis was experiencing as a young man, when he experienced this sense of reverie when he was listening to gospel music in church as a young man.
When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near, when my life is almost gone.
Oh, so beautiful.
Hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When the darkness appears and the night
Higher keyboard part.
draws near, and the day is past and gone. At the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I'm tired, I'm weak, I'm worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home, lead me home.
Wow. Yeah, that was really incredible. Before getting into, I guess, the main obvious thoughts about this, something else that really strikes me about this recording, again, still quite early in Elvis's career, I didn't realize that he started wearing his gospel heart on his sleeve so early in his career. So this is the self-education part of this edition. But is the recording is another example of Elvis's incredible sense of dynamics. And dynamics ultimately is about knowing when to escalate and if to escalate and how much to escalate, the sort of dramatic structure and tension of the performance. And this song never gets into histrionics. It's very meditative. And for, the longest time, you've got the organ and you've got his incredible vocal. Then you have the choral male backing vocals. And then another keyboard part comes in, a higher part, kind of echoing the lower chords that you're getting. And all of these things very subtly add to the building and the dramatic escalation of the performance. And his voice as well, there's a point about half to 2/3 of the way through the song where he really pushes it a little bit, but then he goes back down again as well. It's very subtle, but it's there. And what this does is it keeps you leaning in, it keeps you engaged, it keeps you in the song, leaning forward, as I like to say. But what we're doing is we're leaning into a very private moment. And I've said before that one of the things that's amazing about Elvis was that he was a great micro and macro performer. He was really great at reaching out to large audiences, but he was also very great at pulling audiences in. Depending on the medium, whether it was a large venue concert or an audio recording or a smaller audience or a movie where the audience is the camera that might only be 2 feet away from your face. And he knows that. He instinctively knows that, and he refined that as he got older. But I think he was born knowing this stuff. There are some people who this is what talent is ultimately, and raw instincts. And he understands that this is a very universal but private thing, our own spirituality and the idea of the song, take my hand, take me home. This idea that we will live forever, that life is eternal and it does transcend, this crude matter. What the song does in its performance is it makes us all feel togetherness through the conduit of an extremely private moment of worship and spiritual connection between an individual and this greater force. That not only is this greater force of spirituality and religion, or whatever you want to call it, but also this greater force of audience and the participation of listening. But also you've got this incredible vocal. There's something about Elvis's tremulous voice at this age that creates this sort of vibration that makes you float along. It has this naturally ethereal quality, kind of in the same way that a sustained organ chord does when you hold it and it starts to shake the chord a little bit. And that creates this feeling of vibration that does feel a little bit like spiritual connection. We're moving into something here, intangible and really beautiful. You really feel something when you listen to this. And I don't think that any of this was something that Elvis would have thought about, but he knew it, in the important sense of the word, on an instinctive gut, spiritual level. But I don't think he would have sat down and gone, oh yes, I figured that if I did this, it would elicit this response. This is all very, post-game analysis here. But an incredible performance. I'm really looking forward to checking out more of his gospel stuff. That was really something. So quick reminder that I do appreciate suggestions for future reactions, whether they be Elvis or otherwise. And also do please check out the Rewatch Project of Hannah and Mike, the audio podcast that shares his feed, in addition to the other film, TV, music, and general pop culture goodness that shares his channel. And also likes and subscribes, very much appreciated. Donations via PayPal, and check out all the other stuff that I've got going on here. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.